Thank you, Economic Times, for hosting this event. A very good afternoon to all the viewers, and welcome to this Fireside Chat. Applications have become an integral part of our life now. Who had thought a few years ago that our day-to-day financial needs like banking, mutual funds, insurance, loans, credit cards, bill payments, etc., will be met through applications that we can access from anywhere, anytime, at our convenience. The pandemic has further accelerated the adoption of these applications, with more and more people joining the fintech bandwagon, leading to humongous growth of subscribers as well as fintech providers. While the exponential growth of application usage is extremely exciting and encouraging, it also brings in the challenges of how does one ensure continuous digitalization and security of these applications. To throw some light on as to how one can overcome these challenges and build a successful fintech organization, I am delighted to introduce two distinguished technology leaders who are helping their organizations stay ahead of the curve in this fintech era. Please join me in welcoming Biswabrata Chakravorty, CIO of IndusInd Bank. We all fondly call him Biswa, and Krishnan Parameswaran, co-founder and CTO of Namaste Credit. Biswa has more than 2 decades in technology strategy, execution, and transformation roles across leading banks and insurance organizations, such as IndusInd Bank, Barclays, Bank of America, ICICI Prudential, Cigna TTK, and Reliance Life Insurance. Welcome to the show, Biswa. Krishnan is a seasoned tech leader with over 20 years of experience in building product-focused technology organizations. Through his strategy and innovation in technology, Namaste Credit has been rated as the largest secured SME credit-focused fintech company in India, as also rated among the top 100 global innovative companies for the year 2019 by KPMG and H2 Ventures Australia. Welcome to the show, Krishnan.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Biswa, let me start with asking you the first question. As a large private bank, how has been the digital journey experience of yours? Briefly talk us through some exciting outcomes as well as some challenges.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ashish. And as I said, thank you very much for having IndusInd on this panel. So to start with, from a digital experience point of view, as you know, in India, the digital stack is largely, a product of the government stack, which got set up with the Aadhaar biometric identification, followed by other value-added services like e-sign, etc. And now, of course, we have the common payments infrastructure in terms of unified payment interface. So there's a lot of digital innovation that has happened on the India stack, as we call it, and all the banks and financial institutions have also launched services on that stack. As a bank, we would like to believe that we are focused on the customer experience to the extent of thinking of the clients, as an obsession. So for us, it has to go beyond, just providing services and moving on towards providing a compelling proposition, value proposition, and understanding how we can make ourselves really, really valuable to our clients and bring them to the center of attention of what they would require. So if you go back in time, IndusInd has always been a pioneer in some of these, I would say, innovations. I think one of the first innovations that we put out there in terms of choice money on our ATMs is very well regarded. It's not a digital first, but it's a very, very, I would say sustainable innovation, which has been with us for over the years. Customers can make a choice of the notes when they exchange or access our ATMs. Moving on to other features that IndusInd launched, it was one of the first banks to introduce video banking. And that again was a big rage, big success among our customers, something very unique to enable you to do, banking on video from home. And this is all prior to, things on the pandemic side. What has happened is that after the pandemic, the acceleration has definitely improved. So IndusInd has moved a little bit away from just looking at value-added services, but looking more at end-to-end client journeys. So for instance, our current account, savings account, or account opening journeys for liability clients and for asset clients, for example, on personal loans, credit cards. So these are completely digitized. Now we are generating almost 70 to 80% of our total new booking onboarding on these platforms. So we've scaled up these platforms. We've made them totally digital with a range of APIs. So it is not having any manual steps, it is not having any paper, and it is completely without face-to-face interaction at all. So it is completely virtual. And we've included stacks like video KYC, etc., as the banking regulations have improved and helped us to adapt to those kind of guidelines. So I think overall this has been kind of a evolution of various kinds of such features and capabilities, and altogether we are looking to improve our client journey significantly more. Beyond the 2 or 3 examples that I gave you, we are working on enabling our merchants with a variety of offerings. We have soon very recently launched a easy credit proposition where personal loans and credit cards are disbursed and approved on the fly and within a matter of minutes, completely do it yourself platform. So there are lots of these innovations that are coming up which will alter the experience of the clients, give them the convenience that they desire, the security that they would want and trust, and more importantly, provide features which can provide them with a with a competitive edge. And these are being packaged and being provided to customers who are really which is helping the bank improve its digital offerings. So these are some of the examples, Ashish, that we are working towards more as we speak.
Superb. I think, I am one of the fans of your service of notes you can choose. I recall going to the ATM there, and then I got this option, and I'm like, wow, I don't need to get the 100 rupee notes, I can get 2,000 as well. So absolutely, it's a small feature, but a great feature from an end user perspective. I can vouch for that. So superb. That's awesome, Biswa. Krishnan, on the other hand,
and I think just to add, Ashish, when you are actually at the ATM, you also realize that there is the panel, the console through which you select the notes, etc. There is also an offering that comes to you, which is personalized to you in terms of some of the campaigns that we run, and those are actually integrated with our campaign system at the back end, so that we take feeds from a variety of data sources, and we're able to churn campaigns depending on what kind of clients are interacting with us at the channels, whether it is a mobile banking or it is an ATM or whatever it is. So it's not just the channel that the customer sees and interacts with, it's the entire bank behind, so that when you are really appearing on a channel, you could see the bank in totality. So I'm sorry I added 1 more minute. Sorry about that.
No, fantastic. It is just icing on the cake. Absolutely. I think using this is just amazing. And what all technology can do. It just amazes us every day. Awesome. Krishnan, again, Namaste Credit is a born in the cloud company, right? Very different experience. And you guys have now become the largest secured SME credit focused fintech company. And an entire thing is built on the technology backbone, right? There's no physical interface and stuff like that, right? It would be great to get some insights from you in terms of how did you guys go about it? How's the journey look like, and what's been your experience?
Yeah, sure. We have had a very good journey so far as a startup. Our goal is to democratize SME lending space in India. Why we chose SME was because of the deep documentation needs of the SME customers. And India is largely underserved for an SME market, and SME contributes to like 40% of the GDP also, right? So we chose this segment because of the complexity in the data and how you actually understand the SME market. So we built a couple of products. Initially, we built a marketplace for SME loans. On one side, we built an ecosystem of channel partners whom we actually interface with, gave them all the technology tools that we built completely on the cloud, complete visibility for them to manage their SME clients. And we did the patented technology where we do the matchmaking and policy matchmaking of the different lenders, 70 plus lenders that we work with. So we were able to streamline the process through this mechanism, right? And this stack, when we built, since this was something that was useful for various banks and NBFCs, we started solutioning this particular product. The second product, that is iCam, which is basically an AI-driven tech platform that can automate multiple credit underwriting process, right? So this was an offshoot of the marketplace platform, where today we are live with many leading banks and NBFCs, and we have utilized your solution also as part of this ICAM solution, where we are able to give information security, application security from Indusface, right? So this is one of the platforms that that we have gone live with leading banks and NBFCs. And the digital onboarding as a journey is something that is very important now with post pandemic. You know, like lot more banks, as Biswa just mentioned, the digital onboarding is going to stay here. There are going to be a lot more customers coming in, more adapt to digital technologies. And then as banks and NBFCs and fintech companies like us, we have to co-mingle, co-build solutions that can bring in efficiencies in the market, whether it is the SME borrowers or efficiency with respect to the underwriting process within the credit systems in the banks. And then there is also going to be efficiencies that we have to build post disbursement, how you actually manage the risk, right? You have to build products and services around this that can actually literally give the improvements in all the different problems that we have in the industry.
Awesome. Thanks, Krishnan. And, I just to kind of build on what you mentioned, and I fully, I think this is the trend we are seeing as well, that, earlier, organizations like you all who are offering digital products, website and mobile apps were very commonly used. Of course, they're still commonly used, and a mechanism to interact with your customers or consumers or even the ecosystem. You made a very good point about co-mingling or co-integrating with other, like for working with banks. And APIs are now becoming a humongous, use case where, you have to talk to other, whether it's a bank or whether it's a back-end broking or whatever, that's the way to kind of go. And now when you're interacting with, so you have these many digital platforms to kind of deal with, how do you ensure the, security is extremely important, right? And especially when you're dealing with them online, how do you ensure, what are the things you all do for making sure the security of these applications, are paramount and taken care of?
Yeah, that's a good point, Ashish, that you brought out. As we make more systems integrated, APIs are going to be the norm. It did exist before also, but the information security is paradigm right now. You could have when you talk about information security or security itself, it is in different areas or in different buckets, right? It could start from your endpoint devices, which is actually accessing your portal, or the customers are using the portals, right? Where you make sure that the endpoint security is available. It could be your intranet and network related access levels, right? Where you have network devices. There has to be, we have to make sure that the network security is in place, the right kind of encryption are used by these devices, and then when we move on to the cloud security, obviously the most important aspect here is like how you interface with the discrete systems, right? So first and foremost is the cloud architecture should be kind of built in such a way that it is built from the security angle, right? Like you have the required firewalling solutions, the required private cloud networks, right, within the cloud solution. And then you have your data access or the production access layers, which are curtailed, and it is always having the necessary firewalling and NATing mechanisms, which will prevent the direct access for the users or hackers. So, I mean, when you talk about cloud systems, again, it is prone for attacks, whether it is DDoS and other things. So you have to build the necessary application layer mechanism as well as firewalling. So if you look at the API itself, right, like we have to make sure that the API layers are built with the right kind of mechanism to exchange the data, right? Whether it is tokenization or encryption of the required information, you need to encrypt the payloads that you share the data, the raw data, like when the data is in transit, you need to make sure that those are encrypted with the right kind of encryption mechanism. And also this encryption is not like a though you follow standards, there could be things, for example, when you work with with different customers, they will have their own ways and methods of encryption, right? So you have to cater to these needs as far as the customers are concerned, right? And like when we are talking about digital documents, that is another aspect, right, where the documents are traveling through your HTTPS protocols, right? Now, how do you make sure that those payloads are encrypted? It is kind of sent in a binary format that, like there is no chance of any intrusion to read through the document. So there are various such mechanisms that you have to build. It's a complex thing that exists, but at the same time, a lot of things are getting streamlined. A lot of best practices used. A lot of companies are working on this. So as long as we cater to these, basic standards. So internally we have policies, procedures, and also we look at the best practices across the industry to make sure that we adhere to these things.
Super, awesome. I know security is the. I don't think there is any argument or any discussion that security is extremely important. When you are born in the cloud company, I think, as you rightly said, apart from what you want to deliver to the customers, security is right in the middle, even from defining your architecture. So absolutely. Biswa, you have been one of the first amongst the private banks to embrace SaaS-based security, right? Or SaaS-based solutions. It will be great if you can share your experience with the audience. I'm sure there are quite a few of them sitting on the fence, and not because they don't want to, they don't want to move to the cloud, but they have apprehensions, and a senior executive like you has been there, done that. If you can shed some light on that and how your journey has been, I think I'm sure the listeners would really appreciate that.
Sure, Ashish. So I think on the, Krishnan gave a good, I would say, compendium of facts around security. And if anybody were to listen to him and actually adopt even 80% of what he said, I think that they would have probably achieved a good level of cybersecurity resilience, to be honest. He covered in 5 minutes what people struggle to do in 1 year, 2 years also. So that's a good primer, in my view, a very, very detailed primer. But coming on the subject of web applications, obviously the world is at the edge where customers interact with us, or let's say devices interact with us, and data exchange happens. And the internet is always the place where the maximum amount of such interactions are happening between computers, right, and between individuals. So we have to take steps to protect multiple, I would say, aspects. When you are on the internet, whether through a web application or through a app of your own, or just bare bones APIs that you expose, because you have a third party which is sitting somewhere, and the third party is using your APIs to be able to provide an open banking experience. All of these scenarios are have different contextual risks, but at the heart of it, data, of course, is number one, which Krishna already talked about. And data is responsibility of every bank and every financial institution, that the data of the customer is their data. They have to maintain the data. They have to have data at rest protocols. They have to have data in motion protocols. And data at rest and motion protocol is not just data encryption, but also the quality and the level of encryption, the kind of access to the data. How do you, both at the various layers, what are differently personally identifiable information that you have in that exchange? How do you specifically have controls around those? So there's a whole gamut of data protection, which I think needs to be kind of understood and needs to be complied with. But that was at the heart of any internet facing application. But at the end of the day, the application finally will exchange data provided it is accessed, provided it is provided it is not compromised. So I think the other question that really comes up is, how do we prevent identity from being compromised of a client? So there are technologies there, which we have implemented. For example, we've implemented adaptive authentication on our internet-based clients, which looked at various parameters and understands, what is the behavioral, attribute of the client, and then depending on the change to that attribute or set of attributes, it imparts a score, and any deviation from regular behavior triggers a particular reaction. And it could be a blocking, it could be a step up, or whatever be it. But beyond that, when you look at an application by itself, how does it get accessed? There are controls around threats, which will come in the form of various kinds of attacks. So we've seen the WASP attacks, top 10 standards, top 20 standards. So where we have taken Indusface's help is to model the application, I would say, security on the basis of these attacks which might come, and providing a sort of a capable, trustworthy in the sense that, again, all those pieces of data encryption and data in motion and access and all of that being in place, how do I have the threat capability to repudiate such threats, right? So that's I think one part of the whole equation which Induspace is doing for us through the Aptrona piece that you guys have given us to implement. But the second thing, why it is cloud, is because we also feel that you cannot predict where the attack is going to come from, right? You cannot predict when the attack is going to come from. So you need two things. You need extremely fast ability to recover. In a situation, it is not that you've identified the problem, it is also how quickly you recover to the problem. So recovery is extremely important. Recovery is possible if you're able to isolate, if you're able to spawn multiple instances very quickly, if you're able to divert all of those where there is a problem that has been identified. How do you keep the resilience of the services up? That is when you bring client trust up. That is, you do not really compromise a client session, but you have detected that there is a problem, right? So I think resiliency in the face of an attack, how quickly you can respond, is another factor to consider. And obviously, being in a cloud, that helps us because you guys have got a good model of replication, self-healing, and those kind of capabilities are important. I think the third thing is prevention. So prevention, while threat modeling you've already discussed, I think DDoS prevention is the other most commonly. I mean, one side is application layer attacks, and the other is a pure network layer attack, right, where you're looking at a DDoS kind of an attack. And although we have taken clean pipe services as well from our ISPs, but we now understand and realize that the WAF has an important role to play because it also has an upstream DDoS component to it. So by virtually isolating the DDoS attack at the level of the WAF, and then having a second layer of clean pipe, and there my data center comes in. So I have in a way I've been able to kind of isolate and keep layers of protection, and each of them from different service providers. So I think that kind of a mentality is also kind of playing a role, that it's not one service provider doing all the services. So it's different services and it's different service providers, so that the chances are minimized. Ultimately, it's a minimization game. Risk can never be zero, right? So those are some of the concepts, and so far we've seen good traction. We've been able to utilize the services quite productively, quite efficiently over the last 1 year, 1.5 years. So that's the way I would respond, Ashish.
Excellent. Thanks, Mr. This is amazing. Absolutely. And I can vouch for it. I've been also in the industry for over now 2.5 decades in security. I feel I'm almost a veteran, given security is not that old, but I can vouch that you as well as the bank has always been very forward-looking and has always kept security of its subscribers. While you are accelerating on discussions and adding more applications, but security always has been paramount in terms of making sure that they are protected. Awesome. I think we are running out of time, but maybe I can have just maybe a time for us one quick question. My favorite question. We all are known OEM as a software, right? So when you buy a software solution, you say this is an OEM vendor, and you get the solution from them, and then traditionally get the software, then get some service provider service to you that, and get somebody else to do something else for you. So, and if all these things work out, you will get the desired output you had signed up for. And now the new trend is that the OEM vendor itself should be a solution vendor. Whatever he has promised, he needs to deliver. And that's a trend I'm saying more and more. Would that be accurate from based on Biswa, you as running a large bank, and Krishnan as a born in the cloud company? What would be your views on that? I would let either one of you go and take a stab at it.
Yeah, so let me just say that solutions are the future. Software, if you look at a software provider, license provider, OEM, whatever you want to call them, flavors of the word, it's not one size fits all is not going to work. I mean, that's the bottom line. So you need to have ability to stitch together a solution which kind of addresses multiple dimensions and provides a holistic kind of an outcome to the client, that is us. as a banking or a financial institution. And it's the same as when we provide a service to a client, right? A client can't really not interested to download your app. He's interested in the range of services. Do you have a TDS certificate? Are you able to do a UPI banking transaction? Are you able to get your statement? Whatever be it, right? So similarly, when we are looking at a software maker, it has to be a solution mindset. It can't be just sell a piece of software and be done with it. And I think the world is moving towards a solution stack, primarily because there are gaps. There are big gaps, and those gaps, when they get exploited, become a big problem. So in the solution world, in the security world, particularly, point solutions always existed. I think it's just a question of bridging them together, being able to be holistically aligned, and drive that outcome that your security posture overall, you don't have any kinks, which are noticeable, which are exploitable, right? So I think that is a solution mindset that needs to come in.
Awesome.
I agree with Biswa. Like the solution-oriented approach is the next trend, right? Like the reason is you can stitch multiple solutions as part of your whole gamut of offering. You are actually trying to solve the real problem, right? So I can stitch a solution for a security standpoint. Say I want to go for a web solution, and I have a few services that are available from different cloud partners or other microservices that are available. But at the end of it, like what is needed is how you can give a solution to the customer that can actually give them the right approach, the right kind of problems that can solve, right? And also there is a time aspect, right? So when you are actually looking at it, it is not like that I have to take a long time in taking different point solutions and then integrating them together, right? So time is another aspect where you can, if these solutions are available in which can be offered quickly, right, and it can solve the real problems. That's what is the world is moving towards, right? A solution-oriented approach, which can also solve problems in the timeline that the businesses want, rather than implementation cycles of months to years.
Thank you, Krishnan. Biswa and Krishnan, it has been absolutely my pleasure to host you for this Fireside Chat. Thank you so much. I'm sure all the technology practitioners who are either building or growing their fintech organization will immensely gain from this session. Thank you once again. Thank you very much. I hope you guys have enjoyed the session.